What's up, guys? It's Tommy T. Welcome to the Thrill Live Sports Podcast, where today we'll be talking about things that go with the XFL, Zion Williamson, and the recent NBA trades, and how these teams will look moving forward. Anyways, with that being said, 1, 2, 3, let's get into it. So, it's been a long week and very interesting weekend with XFL opening up. I was unfortunately sick for the whole weekend. So, with that being said, I got to watch most of the games, got to see some of it till I then decided to go back to bed, catch some Z's, try to feel better. But from what I saw from it, the XFL was pretty good. I like what they did. It was interesting what they did with how they communicated. They had reporters on the field talking to the players after plays. I think on the DC Defenders team, there's one guy after a play or something, he dropped the F-bomb. The reporter went to him right after the play. What do you expect, But obviously XFL has to look towards more to that, right times to approach players, coaches, whatever. But it's pretty cool, And it's interesting to see the play call communication through the quarterback to the coach to the other players, At times, I believe it'll be annoying, in the future of doing this, and that might be something to get rid of. I don't know, XFL, do whatever you do, but look at your fan base and look at what they say. I'm just saying what I think. Anyways, I really like the teams. I think the teams are cool. They've got cool colors. The place is there. Definitely a lot of people down in Houston, Dallas, New York, LA. There's definitely going to be a wide variety of fan bases, and there already is at the stadiums. It was also opening week. People have been talking about this. Word spreads around, and there were a lot of people there, and there's a lot of high hopes for the XFL with these events and people contending and watching and tuning in, whatever it may be. And it was so cool seeing people like Troy Aikman there and Pat McAfee. Those guys, I love those guys. They're awesome at what they do and what they work for. But some of these guys could seriously look like some pretty good NFL players. I know it was 1 week, 1 game. But, there's some fast players, there's some big players, there's some strong players, and definitely suitable to prove themselves of worthy of being in the NFL. My favorite play that I saw was the DC Defenders game where Cordell Jones, the big quarterback, number 12, I believe, on DC Defenders, which he also looks like, before I say, he looks like a defensive end. He looks like he could be right, in Nick Bosa's position. Just the guy's huge. He's a quarterback. I thought it was some play they put some other player in just to drive up the middle, but then you realize, oh my gosh, they're actually having that guy throw the ball. 6'7", probably 250. 270. I don't know, some big guy, but he's got a hell of an arm. So, if he could do it, he could do it, right? But anyways, the play was the quarterback Cordell Jones passed flea flicker down to running back on, I think it was on his left, and then, handed it off, and then he pitched it to some guy on the right who swooped in and tossed it back to Cordell. And Cordell threw the flea flicker with this one guy, and his name is Kari Lee. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but he basically, which looking back at it, you see that he's kind of like forming out, kind of going out, looking like he's going to do a block, but instead he shakes off the defender and he runs a total route being wide open and making that play. And I heard the coach talk about it. I heard the players talk about it. And coach was saying how, they practice this play time and time again. He didn't quite get it right, but he was glad that they got that play right in the game, which they ended up winning with a fumble and scoring kicks and the extra points, which is also another interesting thing they've done, is adding extra points into the game, adding in this new thing that the NFL doesn't offer and only the XFL offers, which is definitely very interesting. Anyways, one of the teams, and most importantly, one of the players that I was very impressed with, I think he's, from what I've seen, I believe he's the best quarterback in this so far, and that's PJ Walker. I saw PJ Walker throw some pretty great passes. You just looked at him and you could tell, like, man, he looks like an NFL quarterback. Just how he threw the ball. I mean, the first play he threw was a touchdown pass. And, obviously that gives you a lot of confidence. But, I mean, for the whole game, he was fearless and confident, just what you need for a quarterback, where you saw these other guys get a bit shaky, get a bit indecisive, and, they were sustainable, but, they didn't look as good and didn't perform as good as PJ Walker did. But another big thing about the XFL is the big time hitting, man. Oh my gosh. I mean, there would be some major flags, at least like just scattered everywhere. It'd be like the Super Bowl confetti again, just like yellow flags, red flags, whatever, if it were the NFL with these hits, man. Just they don't care. They just go at it, just boom, right on them. And from what I've seen, I believe the Gladiators will have the best defense. They'll be a top 3 team for sure. The New York Gladiators. Sorry, these new teams. I know it's hard to realize that they're new already in places, whatever. But I've got it all written down and stuff, But, their defense was pretty good against the Tampa Bay Vipers. And, that's only one team. But from what it looked like from the coverage they were breaking down, they looked pretty dang good. And I think they'll be the number 1 defense in this league for this season. But I think they'll be a top 3 team, with as well the Roughnecks and Battlehawks. That is the Houston Roughnecks and the St. Louis Battlehawks. Go St. Louis. St. Louis is like the closest place by Chicago, so just a heads up, if you want to hop in an XFL, want to get the most local team, that'll probably be St. Louis for you, since my whole thing here is in Chicago. Probably mostly my whole audience is in Chicago, but yeah. Anyways, next up, we've got Zion Williamson. So, man, I love this guy. And wait, hold up just a second. Yes, I do. I got Zion jersey, baby. We'll just put that over there. And anyways, I bought that for my brother, and it ended up being too big. So I was like, no, we won't return it. I'll just take that off your hand. Thanks, buddy. But anyways, I love that jersey, by the way. That's so awesome. But, I love seeing Zion. I love seeing Zion play, and just the energy he's brought into this league, and the attention on Zion and how he's dealing with it is pretty insane, pretty great. And, I'm sure he's been mentored by many players. I'm sure he's been talked to MJ, where now he's signed with the Michael Jordan United program or whatever, which is pretty awesome, and hopefully they can do some awesome stuff and improve Zion's performance, improve Zion's wear, whatever, right? And what New Orleans is doing with Zion, it's been now, like, he had his 31-point game that he just had. The other ones before that were pretty dang good too. But my concern is that if New Orleans wants to move forward, hopefully make a postseason movement, they got to give Zion the ball. What I mean by that is they got to make Zion be the first resort. We've seen Zion hang out around in the post, get his own amounts of points of ranging from around like 19 points in an average around there. But which is great, but he didn't have to get these points he didn't forcefully have to get these points just through rebound and just through playmaking. He did that, which is amazing. But with that being said, you got to get the upper advantage. You got to have Zion be the one with the ball, start with the ball, be the one to start from outside of the three-point line and let him make the plays, let him act upon what's best for the team, have him drive in like LeBron James does, and he has always done, where, you see LeBron and, man, like even like on the Lakers, like he makes players so much better. That's because LeBron starts with the ball. He drives with the ball. He reads the coverage. He looks at the defense. He goes for the layup, or he hands it off to the guy. Guy shoots a three-pointer. Guy drives up, lays it up himself, whatever, right? But Zion has to be that first resort. And I really do like that we did see this in his latest game, in his 31-point game, which is awesome. Just a glimpse of what we'll be seeing in the future of Zion, I definitely believe. And, something that Zion definitely has to improve on, and with that being said, of three-pointers. We saw Zion's first game, and that was against San Antonio, and they let him shoot the threes. That was his test. Like, you're with the big boys now. Can you do this or not? And he went 4 for 4 for threes. He's 40% on three-point shooting, but the only threes he's made were those 4. One game, not even covered. Other than that, he's had 6 other attempts, nothing. So, moving forward, does Zion have to develop that 3? Well, yeah, obviously, yes. Any player should develop their 3. Any player should get better at threes, no doubt about it. But what New Orleans is doing is having him closer to the post, where he belongs, and having him get the points, the layups, the more mid-range, not the deep, which is totally fine. But if you make postseason, you got to change things up a bit. Shake them up. With that, when you have Zion being the first resort and the other second, Zion starts with the ball, he drives in, he gives it to the other players. Now, with New Orleans, they're 4th in three-point making as of now. I'll pull up the stats real quick. But their three-point percentage is, let's see, I believe they're 4th. Yeah, here we go. So New Orleans is 4th, and they have their field goal percentage, or three-point percentage, is 37.3, with that, they have, again, the 4th highest, which is insane. With those guys where you got J.J. Redick, you got Alonzo Ball, you got Holiday, you got Ingram. You got all those guys guiding you, giving you that secondary option, which New Orleans definitely has there and should sustain. And if they make this postseason move with Zion, maybe have a chance of doing something pretty big. But anyways, a guy that I really think Zion's going to look like in these upcoming years, and even better as he goes forward, is AD. Well, AD, Anthony Davis, he speaks for himself with LeBron right now on the Lakers. He was originally for his whole entire career with the Pelicans, and he's really developed a lot. And again, with the 3-pointers, Anthony Davis has his 3-point percentage was 0 his first time in 2012, 2013, and he really only developed it until 2015, 2016. So about like 4 or 5 years in developing that 3-pointer. So Zion's got time, but it depends on how fast New Orleans wants to move. And of course, you want to go as much as you can. So you'd expect New Orleans to do that, especially with them thriving forward of doing that. But anyways, Anthony Davis is perfect because Anthony Davis has been under that coaching. He's been developed a player himself. And with Zion and with these younger players, Zion's just going to get more comfortable around them, and the players will get more comfortable around Zion. Zion's numbers will go up as they have been. Anthony Davis, he averaged about 13.5 points per game. I don't know how many games he played, but you'd expect a full season in 2012-13. I don't know. Zion came in halfway, right? But so with the numbers Zion's averaging right now, he averages 21 points, about 7 to 8 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he's doing much better than Anthony Davis started out being. And Anthony Davis nowadays, he's averaging out to be more like 25s, 26 points per game. Way more rebounds than that, assists, whatever, right? And Zion could definitely be something even crazier. And, with his offensive and oh man, he got 31 points. That's great, but his defense is also insane. He's also, he can also just pulverize you. He's got that energy. He's got that quickness. He's just got that ability to change the motion of the game, change the way. I mean, a guy this big, a guy this reactive, a guy this explosive is really going to throw some haymakers in the NBA for sure. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Ja Morant. Ja Morant's probably my favorite player in the NBA right now. I mean, he's just so awesome. He's cool. And I love the point guard position, like Steph Curry, and stuff like that. And Ja is pretty insane, and he already looks like he might just be a top point guard as of now. I believe he will get Rookie of the Year, and Zion will definitely make it close. Now, you have to realize that Rookie of the Year means almost like MVP of the rookies in a sort of sense. But you have to look at not just the numbers, and Ja Morant obviously has great numbers. He's put so many on the board so far. His percentage is insane. He averages about 17 points per game, about 8 assists. I saw the stats earlier, but yeah. And so, for Zion to catch up for Rookie of the Year, I don't think so. But I think he will come in pretty close. And that being said, New Orleans is only 4 4.5 games back, I believe, and catching up to the Memphis Grizzlies, which, yes, they are. 4.5 games back. So, depending on their schedules, actually I have the schedules right here. The Memphis Grizzlies go on to go against Trailblazers. That could be interesting. We've also seen how Ja Morant can take down the bigger teams, like, for instance, the Mavs, the Rockets, But, Damian Lillard, those guys, who knows, right? But Grizzlies could potentially take them. Grizzlies, Lakers, obviously. Grizzlies, Clippers, Clippers. Grizzlies, Rockets again. Who knows, right? They've got some tough matchups. Might see some change soon, right? And if not the Pelicans, somebody else. But anyways, excuse me. I think Ja's got the Rookie of the Year locked, and Ja himself is just amazing. But Zion is also looking amazing too. And these guys both look like great prospects going forward. Anyways, trading, man. So basically, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened with the Timberwolves 4-way deal finally happening, and with that, they got D'Angelo. Yes, sir, they traded away Andrew Wiggins and got D'Angelo Russell. The more I think about it, I was a bit skeptical about it before, but, this idea does seem a bit more approachable to me, a bit more realistic, just in, they gave up some picks, they gave up a good player, and they did it for the more liquid player of just like getting it immediately than like getting these picks of this draft that could be a crappy draft, could not give you the player you're looking for, where D'Angelo Russell, we already see what he brings to the table of the NBA and what he can do. And more importantly, what he can do with Karl Anthony Towns, where they have chemistry, they have a relationship together, where they could formulate some stuff out with their team and peers and stuff like that. So that is exciting to think about. And with them being so far behind in games and so negative down that, they won't go anywhere right now, but we'll see next season. And with that, they got a lot of cap space, and they can make some big money moves, possible even bigger trades, and yeah, we'll see. Anyways, man, Andre Iguodala, I love this guy, man. He was so awesome on the Warriors, and Warriors just giving him straight up to Memphis. But that's business, right? But as much as I love Memphis and Ja Morant and what they're doing, right, Iguodala should be on a definite postseason team like the Miami Heat. And obviously, Iguodala wants to go somewhere warmer. Yeah, he's getting older. He wants to be down in the sunny side of the U.S., right? But Miami is perfect only because they've got so much to offer him right now. With Jimmy G, Andre Iguodala himself, Bam Adebayo, and those other guys, Tyler Hero, Dragic, the Dragon, and all of that. And, yeah, but I still believe that Milwaukee still got this in the bag with Giannis and all those boys, Chris Middleton, the Lopez brothers. I believe they've got the finals down, locked, and loaded. But Miami could sure shake them up a bit. And, really give us a good game there in the Eastern Conference Finals. But for next year, I think something big might happen with Joel Embiid, where, we've seen a lot of bad blood with Philly right now, and Philly's just not too pleased with Joel. Joel hasn't really been playing much of himself, just, with the weird, presence without Jimmy G, or Jimmy G buckets, and just him and Simmons. And it's almost like Embiid is now with that number one role, and Embiid's not really liking it there. And, it's almost like he's got to babysit Ben now, and it's just a mess down there. We know the 76ers are good, and there's just some games where they're not to their potential, and, that's unfortunate. But with that, the Philly fans are just, game 4, they booed him there, he made a layup, and they're like, hey, finally, right? And, or you got a rebound, and then he scored, yeah. But, you saw, so on a Instagram post, Embiid talks about him playing the game, whatever, and I think Jimmy Butler said how, basically, hey, Joel, here's always an option, whatever, and Joel was like, that could be an option. But with Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Andre Iguodala, Bam Adebayo, all together for next year, yeah, I think they could take the Eastern Conference from Giannis. But with Giannis being the monster he is, that could be questionable. But yes, I do think Milwaukee will take the Eastern Conference, and the Lakers and Clippers, I'm very indecisive about. I like the Lakers just due to where they stand against everybody else, where the Lakers, they're number 1 in the seeding, and Clippers are number 3, where with that, with Kawhi sitting out for the load management, whatever weirdness and stuff, it's a lot of complicated things, a lot of things that, like, I'm sure they have good reasons of sitting out. Maybe Kawhi's got something going on somewhere, and just like, at times has to play through it, but they want to also manage it so that he can recover that as well. And where the Clippers are, they look like they might have to, like, go up against some bad boys like the Rockets or like Thunder or Mavs. And I'm not too sure where, the Lakers, they'll go on more easier targets, easier seeds, like possibly Memphis and stuff like that, where Clippers will probably get a bit more gassed, where the Lakers will be a bit more comfortable in the resulting matter of this. But with Kawhi and Paul George, you never know. With LeBron and AD, you never know. I mean, the matchups are pretty dang interesting. I mean, just the pairs are very similar, where, you have Kawhi Leonard, who's very experienced in this postseason-ness and like NBA Finals, and LeBron with the postseason and the NBA Finals. And then you got Paul George and Anthony Davis, who might have made it in the postseason, but haven't really gone that far. And now they finally have that chances of actually doing something with their buddies. And, but, Clippers also got some bad boys on that team. And, with the soft spots on the Lakers, that could also be deceiving. But with LeBron's experience and his capability, I'm not too sure, but I think the Lakers. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. As the weeks go on, I might swip, swap, whatever, right? I mean, they're just so like that, and I feel like that's what it's going to be like with Miami and Milwaukee next year, especially with Milwaukee, depending on who they can keep. And with that, where, you got Miami with Jimmy, they got Jimmy for 4 years, Andre for 2, they got Bam for another year for next year, and then all the other guys, they can manage that, right? But yeah. Anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for tuning in. And so with the schedule, I'm gonna have an episode come out every week, primarily on Wednesdays. If not Wednesdays, more like around Tuesday, Thursday, but always expect them on Wednesday. And yeah, make sure to tune in on my future podcasts. And yeah, thank you guys.